There you go.
Over the years, we've become focused on organizing an entity in Dallas called Dallas County Schools. It's they provide.
We can't hear you over here.
Can you stand up?
Over the years in Dallas, we've become focused on organizing an entity called Dallas County Schools. They exist to provide public bus transportation to all school districts in Dallas County, plus other services for school districts. And this year they took 300 crossing guards away from the city of Dallas and employed them with them. And when they did that, they took a pretty significant pay cut, and they lost some other benefits. So we hired an organizer to help organize these folks up. We hired an ex-Acorn organizer to help organize them. Now, right now we have 35 on our list, 35 crossing guards. We met with them, and and we started a pay raise campaign for them and school bus drivers at the same time. The crossing guards who came into Dallas County that lost their pay, quite a bit of pay when they came over here, were hired in at $8.33 an hour. And so they're campaigning for a pay raise up to the level of monitors in the Dallas on school buses, which is 10 1/4 an hour. At the same time that happened, the driver, we surveyed the drivers to find out what kind of pay raise they wanted next year. And the majority said 5%. Because inflation was 2% last year, they didn't get enough of a pay raise the year before that to cover the health insurance, and they didn't get anything the year before. So, they made a decision that 5% is what they need to get them back up to where they are. Well, as it stands right now, this is still going on, but at this point right now, the people that make these recommendations to that board are recommending 3%, which is 1% higher than the ordinarily paid. So we're taking credit for that much at this point. But this is going on, we're still pushing for that 5%. This school, Dallas County, is taking over the transportation of another school district called Grand Prairie, and that's going to bring in 115 new potential members. And we've already got the list, and we'll start as soon as that takes place. We'll start working on it. We'll start sign them up. I've got, and that's pretty much where it stands right now. I've got, anything?
Great. Yeah, I have a question. I'm Kevin. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name, sir. Kenneth. Okay, Kenneth. You said that you guys are a transitional school system over there, and they changed, they liquidated a job and absorbed the employees into another employee. Is that correct?
Yeah, they absorbed this. Up until last year, the city of Dallas had hired the crossing guards. The crossing guards in the city of Dallas worked for the police department. They worked under the police department. And as city employees, they were able to draw unemployment during the summer. But Dallas County Schools took it over, absorbed all of them into their unit.
You said the school system took it over?
The Dallas County Schools absorbed those 300 people into their unit did that, they became school district's employees. But in Dallas, in Texas, school district employees can't draw unemployment in the summer. So that was an effective 90 cent per hour pay cut there.
A question, is it traditionally the city has more political power than the school districts?
Both city and school districts are ran by boards, elected boards. Is that what you mean to say?
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to find.
There's a state law that says they can't get unemployment. There's not a state law about city employees.
Oh, right, so consequently, by default, it seems like the city has more power than the school district because the city employees are not allowing.
Actually, the school district has a lot of power because they don't want to pay the unemployment. So they have to hire the state, have legislature pass the law.
I guess what I'm really trying to get at is that it seems like this is a common trend. They're liquidating the whole employment system and taking employees and putting them into a new system that they have less power. Consequently, they're doing what they want to. This is not unique to what's going on with y'all. It seems to be happening all over the country.
They typically have privatization contracted out for us.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're going to probably hear a lot of examples of this kind of thing because it's the casualization of labor, taking away benefits, making them into subcontractors. It's just happening more and more.
And it seems like that should have started before they even allowed them to transfer over into the school board rather than having a battle after the fact.
It always starts as soon as we find out about it.
Yeah.
And that was
Sometimes you find out about it while it's in the process of happening or before it's happening. Sometimes it takes place before you find out about it.
So essentially the workers are in trouble when they even start talking about making a change to their current situation.
That's right.
Workers will generally start hearing rumors that they're going to get transferred or move somewhere. And it's at that point that we have to start campaigning against it. Sometimes you don't hear that to start the campaign.
We really need what we need to do and what the way this is set up. There'll be a lot of time we give everybody's reports, and then there's a lot of time to have some separate conversations with people and get into the details. So we're going to have to move, if it's okay, let me move over to the Arkansas reports and Kenny and you can talk about this later. If that's okay. You got lots of reports. How do you want to do this?
Once again, my name is Tony Orr. I am the organizer for Arkansas. Also, I'm going to get a report for Shreveport. The first thing on the Shreveport report is that there's a new 3-year contract for the cattle head start that will begin. It started in January, so that's always good to hear. Grievance work has resulted in 3 major wins for our membership, which is another great thing to hear about. Pay raises for all nursing home workers. Anytime you can increase your pay, that's one thing that we fight for as a union, to make sure that your pay is commensurate to what you actually do. New leadership development when past leaders retire. You always want to make sure that the ground is still fertile when people leave. And did a protest for Comcast TV station in Shreveport, and they're meeting with the regional vice president. So that's Shreveport. On the last day of our meeting with the regional vice president of Comcast, Comcast is another issue in Arkansas that we're dealing with. Me and Wade actually met with U.S. Congressman Tim Griffin and the vice president of marketing for Comcast out of Southfield, Michigan. They tried to make it seem like we were kind of crazy. Some of the allegations we were saying, even the congressman kind of blew us off. Basically just kind of like, whatever. I don't want to hear what you're saying, because they say it's not true. But Wade, when they talked about the computer, give the computer buy with the Little Rock School District, I actually went to that computer buy because I told them that they were never there. They tried to argue with me, yeah, but the men that had this computer by, they didn't show up. What they did, they made these little courtesy bags to give to the parents as they bought these computers. And they put it in a bag of popcorn, some hand sanitizer, and a brochure for Internet Essentials. And I was sitting there, and they had the representative from Little Rock School District giving a bag, and they looked at it and said, "What is this?" The representative couldn't explain anything to him, and all she did was look at me and said, "Well, he can explain it to you more." So you had all these people come to me, and the first thing I thought about, you know what? Man, I need to call Comcast. I need to be on that payroll. But it was very successful. We actually signed up 30 families. When I checked with last week, when I checked with Comcast, of the 30 families we signed up, 25 have actually been approved for the Internet Essentials and were in the process of getting their modem and everything for their home. So, that was very successful. We were trying to tell the congressman that our whole goal was to get as many people on this program. For some reason, in Arkansas, of the almost 20,000 eligible families that can get on Internet Essentials, they were just hoopla about, we signed up 500 families. So 500 families out of 20,000, that's not a good percentage. In fact, that's terrible. That's terrible. And you want to, toot your own horn because of that. But I know later on on the agenda we're going to talk about Comcast more. There's two people that's here from Arkansas that I just want to just throw their names out because they've done a wonderful job. As you know, last year we signed up over 100 new members to Arkansas. We're on pace right now to exceed that. We're at 55 members so far this year, and we're still growing. As you know, we just moved into different areas. Department of Community Corrections in Arkansas, which always has been a hard place for us to get in as a union. We've also infiltrated the Arkansas State Police. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, we gonna get the popo signed up too. Believe me, they got issues at the Arkansas State Police too. But those are the things we try to do as a union. But this Henrietta Collins from Warren, Arkansas, Miss Frida Hostler from Pine Bluff. Frida was one of the first members I signed up when I took this job. In fact, she sent an email to Oral one day. She was just so happy because nobody knew that there was a union. There was people to protect state employees, and we got a couple of her grievances overturned, and she was just so happy that, she said, "Who do I call? Who do I talk to?" I said, "I don't take credit for anything. We're just doing our job." And Ms. Collins is a tireless worker. In fact, she's on the membership recruitment plan today, because she is actually over the past month personally signed up over 30 people in Warren. And so
you're really not signing up to me.
Oh, man!
Up 55 and it's all 30 in the year? We want to hear about that.
But in the process, it has really been effective in Warren. We've successfully got a couple policies changed. We've successfully got surveillance cameras put into the units because there were so many people getting accused falsely of abuse, and they were just terminating people, just on the fact that somebody claimed abuse. But we actually got some terminations overturned. We actually went to the state legislature. Now that we have an all-Republican state legislature for the first time in 100 years, been some crazy things. We got them to repeal, to change the law that they were going to drop the weekly rate for unemployment down from $4.61 to like $3.20. We successfully did protest with other organizations to get that bill shot down so it stayed the same. We also successfully did a campaign with non-education employees got a 2% raise. We were trying to get a 3.5%, but we got the 2%. So it was a victory, but it's not the victory we want. So next year we're gonna keep pushing for this pay raise. They had got a cost of living raise or pay raise in over 5 years. So they were due. We also got the state grievance policy change. What was happening was that there's a panel that oversees all the state agencies. And it, you know, it was supposed to be the final destination for your grievance, but what we found out is that if the agency that, you know, that was had grievance against it, if they didn't like it, they could actually appeal to the chief financial officer of the state, and he could actually overturn the panel's decision, which we thought was just really messed up, because for the grievance, that was your final. You could go no farther than that. But now you open the door at the agency could go farther. And we just made, you know, we just said that was unfair. So we did a successful campaign starting July 1st. That, you know, whatever appeal is there, the other person has the right to appeal that. If it goes to the chief financial officer, the grievance has that opportunity to appeal what he says. So which really makes it a more fair process, and that way, you know, it just makes it even for everybody around. Also, we United Labor Unions Local 100 has a radio show, which I am the host of. It's actually called The Workplace. It's at 88.3 FM. You know, you can go to KBF.org.
You can hear it on the internet.
And
On your iPhone.
yeah. One thing I would like to do is at the end of the meeting, I want to get everybody's information. I would like you to email me or call me, whatever problem is going on in your area. Call me. We can get it on the radio. We can talk about it. Last week we had Alan Hughes, who's the president of the AFL-CIO in Arkansas. Got him on. He talked about all the different things that were going on with the state legislature. He talked about trying to help organize commercial food and commercial workers against Walmart. It's a good thing Wade Allen, you know, agreed to go ahead and get some funding for the show. He also said there's some labor lawyers that he's going to talk to who also probably will maybe underwrite the show. So that's a good thing. It's just another voice and another platform for us to just get our agenda across.
Now, are we recording this show now?
I don't know. I have to talk to John about it. That's one of the things me and Brian talked about last week. Trying to get more, trying to record it. And
We'll take care of that.
Okay.
Because if we record it, you'll be able to listen to it on podcast. Just go to the website and click on the show, and you'll be able to hear it.
Okay, and I think that's about it for Arkansas. Like I said, we just trying to do all that we can for the state. It just amazes me that in the 2 and a half years we've been doing this job, that once people find out what was going on, they just really got involved and just really made a local 100 a force to be reckoned with the state office.
That was great. Okay, who's going to top that? It says New Orleans and Baton Rouge are next.
In New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and Louisiana, other than Shreveport. One of the things that we're doing right now in Louisiana is negotiating a couple contracts. One of them is Heritage Manor of Napoleonville. We're having our second bargaining session and hopefully come up with an agreement on next Tuesday, I believe. Secondly, we're currently also negotiating a contract for our transportation department, Bureau of Transportation here in New Orleans. We have a meeting next week, in ratification meeting, and hopefully we'll come up with an agreement. And we're also going to be re-bargaining this particular contract again at the end of the 2017. GCA is a janitorial company that supplies workers to schools here in New Orleans. We finally got that contract signed at the end of last year, and we've got our first dues check with about 40 new members that came to place in February. And since then, it brought on about 15, 17 more new members in that area. Also, at GCA, we've had some great victories there, whereas the employer had to unilaterally wages individually with the employees, and also had layoffs with the employees and not doing it in a fair manner, whereas one or two was called back, not by seniority, so we filed a bunch of charges. Actually, there were 6 charges filed on the company, and what came out of that is they promised that they will not side bargaining with the employees as far as negotiating wages that are higher than the wages that we negotiated in the contract. We've also, on the layoff situation, we won right at $2,500 for one of the employees who was not called back to work in the seniority manner. And another one was a guy that had his wages renegotiated. He's a supervisor right before our election. They made him a supervisor. Right after the election, they said you're no longer a supervisor. We were able to get him $450 because the company actually negotiated with him also. So we've had some pretty good victories there at GCA. We do have some employees from GCA with us today. At our home, Louisiana Association of Retarded Citizens in Lafayette, we were able to still receive quarterly reports from the company moving people from part-time to full-time. We actually were able to get this done since we met last year, the last time. And whereas the company have a whole bunch of people that are labor for part-time, however, they're doing full-time work, and again, we're able to get those reports still quarterly to move them from that position to full-time position. The other thing that everybody here is talking about our hoppers, and certainly, as the guy said, right on the back of our trucks here in New Orleans, we were in trial late last year, sometime this year, I remember, for 4 long days, morning to night, and that was because the new company, new subtractor, come in and decided not to bargain with the union. Anytime you hire 50 plus of those employees, you're supposed to bargain with the union before making any lower changes, and they did this, and we filed charges, and I ended up being penalized in the court for 4 days of trial, long days. And the judge ruled that we are the bargaining agent. We're not, we are the bargaining agent for them, but he did not rule in our favor at that point that give these guys back pay for the changes. They were at like 100 and something a day, and they dropped their wages to $11 an hour. So again, the judge ruled in our favor. So we're the union that should be representing them, but did not give any monetary reward. So our labor board there decided to actually do brief and appeal that decision of the judge, and we're currently waiting to see if we're going to win that part of the back pay for those employees. And then we have one new drive going right now in New Orleans. It's called Crescent City Care Center. It's a nursing home. I believe used to be owned by the Beverly Homes. There's about 110 workers there, CNAs, laundry, dietary, maintenance, and some electrician and nurses. I've had a few meetings with those employees, signed up a few of those workers, and hopefully we'll have it in full force within the next couple of weeks on getting more people on board with that. Danae is going to tell you a little bit about what's going on with one of our group homes in the area called Rathke and PHP. And
all right. We'll represent community home workers in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Lafayette. Similar to LARC, the Louisiana Association for Retarded Citizens, we represent workers at progressive healthcare providers and also Rathke. So I'm going to talk briefly about those 2 units. Rathke, we're going to bargain at Rathke this year. So right now we're building a bargaining committee so that we can get a raise. Unfortunately, a lot of, as Robert can attest to, in these kind of Medicaid reimbursed, just like nursing homes, community homes are reimbursed by the state. Jindal has been cutting reimbursements to community homes and nursing homes instead of, you know, we've not been getting wage increases this past couple years in our bargaining session. So this year we're going into bargain at Rathke. We were able to win an election. Well, we didn't have to go to election. We were able to represent the day program at a Rathke facility in Lafayette. Signed up 100% of the members, and we were able to win a better staff ratio, which was a huge win. If any of y'all had walked in, if our state police had walked in and seen the kind of facility they fit in, I mean, every management person would have been arrested because it was a terrible condition. You had four workers for every, at some point they had 4 staff people for 60 clients. These are not children, these are, you know, developmentally disabled people, but Rose and I walked in, you know, they had us come see the bathroom facilities. Y'all wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't wish that upon your worst enemy. So we were able to win full staff ratio and PRNs, because that was something the company was just not doing. If you called out sick for a day, they just didn't replace you. We have a long ways to go in that facility, so we're hoping that through our bargaining session this year, we'll be able to push for some more changes, like it's called Careers in Progress. So the clients are not supposed to be housed in a warehouse setting, they're supposed to actually be doing work. And so that's one thing that we're going to hopefully win this year, is that they actually get shredders so that people can do their jobs. So that's one thing. Bargaining is coming up in like August. Well, we hope to have some good news for you next year. And then in progressive healthcare providers, one thing that we've been working on is finding CNAs, because we, in order, you know, people are making $7.75 right now to do the hard work of taking care of people in these community home settings. And we, again, in order to try to figure out how to get people an increase now versus in a year when we go to bargain again, we are trying to find as many CNAs as possible. So we found this is just a slow, you know, movement and trying to find all the people and signing them up. And, but we've been able to find a couple of people and get back wages for CNA, for their CNA. We get a quarter more an hour for their CNA license. So that's one thing. And then we're also trying to figure out, and we've been talking to people about who can actually do a CNA certification class for our members, so that they can go ahead and get licensed and get a raise before next year. So those are some of the things.
Any questions on Louisiana?
Houston, Texas. We represent a large youth school district in Houston, Texas, called Houston Penn School District. We're doing a minimum wage campaign, living wage campaign there now, trying to get the minimum wage to be $9.50 an hour. Our poster child, or poster worker, she's been working in the district for 10 years, only makes $8.51 an hour, has 3 children and a husband on disability. So she's a fine example of why we ought to pay our workers a little bit more in that district. What we're doing in the campaign is actually going out and talking to our members. Del Ron's been really good at getting them on the cell phone while we're talking to them and actually calling the main office for the president of the school district and leaving a message saying we support 950 and we're from Local 100. We've had about 450, 500 calls so far. We're doing this every day. And Anna Eastman is the school board member. We supported her 4 years ago when she got elected, and we're going to be hopefully supporting her again. But to get our support, she's going to have to really commit to upping the wages of the poorest workers in the district. So it's been a good campaign. It's actually increased our membership, which is good, and it also gives our organizers good things to talk about. We also worked in the presidential campaign. Ida Skinner came actually down along with some other Gulf Coast workers to make phone calls. Didn't do any good to make phone calls in Texas, so they had us call in Florida. And as you might recall, those phone calls me and Ida and a few other people made won the state for Obama. It was a close election in Florida. We pulled it out. It was fun, wasn't it, Ida?
Yes, it was.
And they gave us free donuts.
Yeah.
That's always good.
Ida also also works for the Gulf Coast Community Service Association. She was on the bargaining committee. We just got a new 3-year contract at the end of the year. It's a better contract we've ever had. It's the 4th contract we've bargained, so it has a very long history. We also started an organizing drive of 5,000 employees in the Houston Community College. In November, while that school board race is going on, there's also 5 positions out of a 9-person board that runs the community college up for election. So there's a chance, if we can actually support the 5 right candidates, we would actually have a majority on the board. The board's coming under a lot of problems. The chancellor of the university just quit, and 2 or 3 board members have quit, and then they're under investigation for misusing funds. We also did a protest about Comcast at Channel 2 TV, which is the Comcast station in Houston. Certainly about the Internet Essentials program that we've been fighting for, and trying to get the children that are in the free lunch program in the greater Houston area, where there's 500,000 kids that qualify for that program, along with Head Start workers, Head Start and kids. And they just haven't been promoting that. You can't find out about it. You certainly can get the service. And their own estimation, they have 1,000 people signed up. We don't have any proof, but 1,000 people signed up out of 500,000 people. It's not a very good job. Pearlie DeMart and Wade Rathke and I met with Congressman Al Green in May, I believe it was, talked to him about the remittance campaign, had people actually working here in America, the Emirates, sending money home to their family. And Wells Fargo and these other companies are charging a lot of money to do it. We're trying to get the congressman to pass a law, because he's on the committee that would do that, to reduce the amount that the remittances would cost. We also talked to him, he talked to us about his minimum wage campaign. Al Green, which you'll read tonight, has been one of the strongest proponents of the minimum wage increase in our city, and supported us back in '97 when we tried to get it increased in Houston. And he's also president of the NAACP for about 20 years. So you'll be hearing him tonight. We also talked to him about Comcast, but he has this law proposed to index the cost of the minimum wage, so it would go up automatically every 4 years. And the last thing I want to mention is Brenda here has these tickets, and it's a 50-50 raffle. And what we do is a pack, political action committee raffle. You buy a ticket for $1 or 5 tickets for $3, and if you win, you get half the money, and the other half goes to the political action committee. Political action committee is the committee that donates money to candidates throughout the local. So if anybody wants to buy tickets, Brenda will have them. She sold a couple $100 last year. We do have T-shirts for sale too. Thanks.
Okay, community voice.
Christine. Hi, I'm going to report on the community voice. A community voice, we do organizing and training programs in the community and address neighborhood issues as well as financial literacy and citizen law campaigns. Under the community organization training program, we trained over 400 Xavier University, Loyola, and Tulane students, as well as Teach for America participants and other volunteers from partnership organizations on how to conduct door-to-door outreach in low-income neighborhoods. Next volunteer effort is going to be August 31st. In neighborhood issues, we held 30 community meetings, actions on community issues, turned out over 1,500 residents to neighborhood events, hosted candidate forums for state and local elections in both unorganized and organized turf to encourage voter turnout and civic participation, over 300 residents. In financial literacy and citizen law campaigns, we conducted outreach and educated financial literacy trainings to over 30,000 families. New Orleans Housing and Community Fair in March 2nd, 2013. Had our largest turnout in 5 years with over 400 residents. In the healthcare and Medicaid expansion campaign, a new community voice has been a key partner in 2 new Louisiana coalitions. Forward Louisiana, the statewide coalition fighting for Medicaid expansions. ACB was key player in the 1,000 persons turnout, by far the largest of its kind. You can see the photo. Working with the coalition across the state to fight back against the governor's dismantling of our charity care system and has rejected our Medicaid expansion. There are over 100 groups that are a part of this effort, and ACB is the lead organizing and mobilizing residents around these issues. Our upcoming meetings on hospital privatization efforts are planned for Jefferson, New Orleans, and Lake Charles parishes. Justice and Beyond Coalition of Large Churches, Community, and Elected Officials working to turn public education to local control. Our Southern United Neighborhood Project, our sister nonprofit home repair program going strong, completed 3 homes, currently working on 7 homes, 8 more homes are on the list, looking to expand outside the Lower Ninth Ward to other neighborhoods in the future. Food stamps, many people come daily to the office who are assisting in signing up and getting printouts to their benefits as the state offices stop doing that. WIP program set up a partnership with the state to have welfare recipients work at our office to gain work experience. And we have our executive officers are President Lanny Roy, Vice President Vanessa Manager, and Secretary Treasurer Deborah Campbell, and the President Emerty Villa Love Street.
Well, now,
One brief thing, sorry, we did a head count, we're missing some people. We want to make sure everybody signs in, because we have something special planned later. We have to have everybody's name, so. So I'm going to send one down each table, and if you have not signed in, please sign in. Thank you.
so I know there were some questions earlier. There may be some questions people have about some of these reports. So now would be a good time if anybody has, well, I want to know what they're really doing in Warren, or what's happening in this issue or that issue. So questions anyone has from the reports you heard? Kenny?
It's a blur.
I'd like to hear about organizing community halls.
Okay. We got funding through the state to help repair some of the low-income residents' homes within the Ninth Ward area, which was hit by Hurricane Katrina. Some of the elderly and those who have a certain amount of income to help finish the repairs that some of the contractors may have not finished in a home. So we got together and did a proposal for certain contractors to come to the neighborhoods and sent it out for them to come and assist in that area. So we have a lot of homes that's being worked on currently and upcoming.
You got some grant money and finding contractors to do the work?
Yeah.
It's a special program just in Louisiana, or?
Well, it's through the City of New Orleans Office of Community Development, and it's actually HUD Home Funds. So I'm sure every city has HUD Home Funds. It's up to the city's consolidated plan to dictate how you're going to spend those funds. So with HUD funds, especially designed for low income, and so the city administrates the grant, but it's federal money, and then we hire the contractors. They bid on the houses, and the licensed contractors do the repairs.
Okay.